For centuries, humanity has wrestled with the most profound question of existence. Is there a part of us, a soul, that persists beyond the physical decay of the body? Traditionally, this was the exclusive domain of philosophy and religion, strictly segregated from the rigorous, measurable world of science. Classical Newtonian physics, rooted in determinism and hard materialism, rendered the concept of a non-physical self irrelevant, a mere phantom generated by complex neurochemistry. This established wall, built on the assumption that only matter is real, has stood firm against spiritual inquiry for hundreds of years, making the idea of scientifically discussing the soul nothing short of heresy in the academic mainstream. Yet the discoveries of the last century, those delving into the strange, probabilistic, and fundamentally interconnected realm of the subatomic, have begun to chip away at that sturdy materialist foundation. Quantum physics, the most successful scientific theory ever devised for describing the universe at its smallest scales, introduced concepts that defy classical intuition: non-locality, observer-dependent reality, and instantaneous correlation across vast distances. These radical ideas have inadvertently reopened the door to a discussion about consciousness that cannot be contained merely within the skull. When the fundamental fabric of reality is revealed to be interwoven with the act of observation itself, the identity of the observer, the soul, becomes the ultimate scientific mystery. We are standing at a pivotal moment where the deepest insights into the mechanics of the universe are aligning with ancient spiritual wisdom. Quantum mechanics suggests that reality is far more fluid, informational, and interconnected than our senses reveal, pushing us toward the inescapable conclusion that the self might be a coherent informational field rather than just a biological machine. It is the truth many established institutions fear to acknowledge because it threatens the comfortable reductionist framework that has dominated Western thought. By embracing these findings, we unlock a paradigm shift that integrates the scientific understanding of energy and information with the spiritual quest for eternal awareness. Prepare yourself for an intense journey through the subatomic landscape, exploring how the language of physics can finally give definition to the ineffable concept of the soul. We will examine the theories, the evidence, and the profound controversies that arise when you dare to ask what truly survives death in a quantum universe. Tell us your city in the comments below so we know where this important message is reaching, and stay with us until the very end, because the deepest insights into the nature of your own existence lie within the strange laws of quantum reality. The fundamental laws governing the macro world, the world of tables, planets, and bodies, are largely predictable, stable, and locally defined. This is the realm of classical physics, which posits a purely objective reality existing independent of any observer. However, when scientists peered into the subatomic realm, they encountered a bewildering reality that behaved entirely differently. A reality where particles exist in multiple places simultaneously, superposition, until the moment they are measured. This phenomenon, known as the measurement problem, immediately forced physicists to confront the unavoidable role of consciousness in defining material reality, thereby shattering the long-held materialist dogma that assumed consciousness was merely a passive, emergent byproduct of physical processes. The active role of the observer became undeniable, transforming the scientific dialogue. The primary entry point for the soul into physics stems directly from the observer effect. In classic experiments, like the double-slit experiment, subatomic entities behave like waves of potential energy until a conscious observer intervenes. Upon observation, the wave instantaneously collapses into a definite particle location. This action implies that consciousness, or perhaps a highly organized form of information inherent to consciousness, is a necessary ingredient for translating potentiality into physical actuality. If the external, objective world requires conscious interaction to finalize its form, then consciousness itself cannot be simply an internal, subjective phenomenon locked within the brain. It must possess some form of non-local, energetic relationship with the wider universe, acting as the ultimate selector in the informational matrix of reality. Furthermore, quantum entanglement introduced the concept of non-locality, the spooky action at a distance where two particles, once connected, remain instantaneously linked regardless of the vast spatial separation between them. Measuring the state of one instantaneously determines the state of the other. This concept provides a powerful analogy for how a soul or individual consciousness might remain connected to a universal field of awareness, or how different individuals might share deep, non-physical bonds. Non-locality fundamentally challenges the assumption that all reality must be constrained by local physics, suggesting that instantaneous informational transfer is possible across the universe, offering a theoretical mechanism for processes often attributed to spiritual connections or universal energy flows. This profound realization that the fundamental mechanisms of the universe depend on the act of conscious observation necessitated a reconsideration of what consciousness actually is. It could no longer be relegated to mere neural static. It had to be a fundamental property of reality itself, possibly the unifying field underlying both matter and energy. This is the moment the scientific search for the soul truly began, framed not in religious terms, but in terms of persistent, non-local information. If you find these concepts challenging the limits of your current understanding and expanding your sense of possibility, please take a moment right now to subscribe to the channel and join our community dedicated to exploring the deepest truths about our reality and the universe. The exploration of non-local phenomena provides a critical bridge between the measurable world and the metaphysical. Non-locality means that certain connections transcend space and time as we experience them, offering a framework through which phenomena like intuition, shared grief, or deep spiritual connection might operate, not as magical thinking, but as informational transfer mechanisms enabled by the underlying structure of reality. If the universe operates like a vast, entangled computer, then individual consciousness might be a sophisticated node within that network, always fundamentally linked to the source code, which is the universal field of awareness. These quantum discoveries demand that we redefine the boundary between the internal and external worlds. The classic division between subject and object dissolves at the subatomic scale, suggesting that the individual soul is not separate from the cosmic energy field, but is in fact an individualized, highly structured expression of it. This perspective treats the brain merely as a sophisticated receiver and translator, processing the quantum information of the soul rather than generating it. Whole cloth, much like a radio set, doesn't create the music, but tunes into the existing energetic waves. Quantum physics thus acts as the Trojan horse that infiltrated the citadel of materialism, forcing mainstream science to grapple with concepts that are inherently spiritual. It compels us to move beyond the limiting belief that death is the end of awareness, because if consciousness is non-local and interacts fundamentally with potentiality, its existence is likely independent of the carbon-based mechanism that temporarily houses it. The soul, under this lens, moves from being a nebulous, unverifiable concept to a highly sophisticated quantum entity requiring careful scientific modeling. The challenge now is developing the mathematical language to describe these non-physical, yet demonstrably real quantum effects of observation. The sheer explanatory power of quantum mechanics grants it the credibility to redefine what is physically possible, and its conclusions are far more radical than any prior philosophy dared to suggest. It is the science, not the sermon, that suggests we are inherently entangled and perpetually connected to the fundamental energy source of the universe, embodying the ultimate expression of spiritual oneness. This transition from material dependence to informational independence is the core revelation of quantum physics concerning the soul. It suggests that our deepest identity is not matter, but pattern, a persistent, energetic blueprint existing within the universal matrix, ensuring that the essence of who we are is preserved, regardless of the fate of our momentary physical shell. If consciousness is fundamental and active in the collapse of the wave function, where exactly does this quantum activity manifest within the biological structure of the brain? This question led to groundbreaking, albeit still controversial, theories suggesting that consciousness arises not from classical neuronal firing, but from highly delicate quantum processes operating within the infrastructure of the brain, specifically within the minute tubular structures known as microtubules found inside every neuron. These structures are ideal candidates because their geometry allows for the maintenance of quantum coherence, a necessary condition for quantum phenomena, for relatively long periods resisting the decoherence caused by the warm, wet environment of the brain. The most famous proponent of this hypothesis is the ORC-OR, Orchestrated Objective Reduction theory, formulated by physicist Sir Roger Penrose and anesthesiologist Dr. Stuart Hameroff. ORC-OR posits that consciousness involves a process of objective reduction of the quantum state, a collapse not caused by observation, but by the gravitational limitations of space-time geometry itself, which is somehow synchronized or orchestrated by the brain's microtubules. Essentially, the quantum information that forms consciousness is processed within these internal structures, generating moments of conscious awareness, the soul experience, as a result of non-computable quantum gravity, effects localized in the neuronal architecture. This perspective is crucial because it moves consciousness beyond the simple computer metaphor of the brain. Classical computation models cannot explain the subjective unity of awareness, the hard problem of consciousness, or the incredible speed and holistic nature of complex thought. A quantum model, however, accounts for this unity through quantum coherence, where countless potential states exist simultaneously across a neural network, unifying the input into a single cohesive moment of experience. The soul, therefore, is not a ghost in the machine, but the coherent pattern generated by the quantum dance orchestrated within the brain's deepest machinery, linking the individual to the universal quantum field. If consciousness is quantum in nature, it gains properties inherent to the quantum world, such as non-locality and persistence. If the informational patterns responsible for our awareness exist as coherent quantum fields, there is no physical law suggesting those patterns must cease to exist when the physical structure that organized them, the brain, dissolves. This challenges the reductionist view entirely, suggesting that the self, the soul, is an enduring informational or vibrational pattern that utilizes the brain as a temporary platform for manifesting in the physical world. This shift in perspective transforms the human experience from a finite biological accident into a fundamental organized expression of the universe's energy. The difficulty in proving ORC-OR lies in the challenge of detecting quantum effects in a hot, noisy biological system, which tends to destroy coherence almost instantly. However, proponents argue that the microtubule structures are specifically designed to protect these quantum states, acting like tiny, biological Faraday cages. If this is true, then the moments of deep contemplation, insight, and holistic awareness that we often attribute to the soul might literally be instances where the brain achieves maximum quantum coherence, linking the individual's informational field directly with the encompassing informational field of the universe. This model suggests a seamless integration between the personal energy of the individual and the vast cosmic energy that permeates all existence. Our unique personality, our memories, and our sense of self are contained within the specific complex coherence patterns established in our brains, which are then retained as a non-local quantum signature upon physical death. The body is merely the battery and the antenna. The soul is the enduring, structured signal. The quantum understanding of consciousness aligns perfectly with spiritual teachings, emphasizing the interconnectedness of all life and the pervasive presence of a universal spirit or divine energy. The signs we seek for spiritual guidance might be interpreted as fluctuations or informational crosstalk within the coherent quantum field that connects all things, manifesting as intuition or synchronicities in our localized awareness. By locating consciousness in quantum reality, we elevate its status from a neurological accident to an essential feature of universal physics. It posits that the true experience of awareness is deeply interwoven with the fundamental energy that constitutes reality, ensuring that the self is more resilient and persistent than previously imagined under classical models. This opens a rich area for future research, moving beyond the mere correlation of neural activity to searching for the actual quantum signatures of thought and awareness. If successful, this research would provide the ultimate scientific validation for the enduring concept of the soul, grounding the spiritual journey in the mathematical elegance of high-energy physics. When quantum physics attempts to define the soul, it necessarily discards the old anthropomorphic and religious imagery, replacing it with definitions rooted in information, energy, and vibration. Under the quantum lens, the soul is not a misty entity residing on a cloud. It is an incredibly complex, highly organized field of awareness, a persistent, non-local informational pattern that dictates the structure and experience of the physical self. If energy cannot be created or destroyed, then the information that defines our consciousness must likewise persist, simply changing its state or dimension upon the cessation of biological function. One of the most compelling quantum interpretations is viewing the soul as pure information. In physics, information is physical, fundamentally linked to entropy and energy. If the complexity of human consciousness, every memory, every emotion, every unique perspective can be codified as information, then this vast data set is governed by the laws of thermodynamics. When the biological mechanism fails, this structured information doesn't vanish. It merely decoheres from its localized physical support and returns to the universal informational matrix, sometimes referred to conceptually as the Akashic field or the zero-point energy field. The soul is thus the unique individualized packet of quantum information that defines you. Another powerful interpretation is the soul as a vibrational signature. Everything in the universe, at the quantum level, is fundamentally vibration. Particles are excitations in fields. The physical body resonates at certain frequencies, but the consciousness that animates it might be a finer, higher frequency vibration that is much less susceptible to physical constraints. According to this view, the soul is the fundamental, unique resonant frequency that organizes the material body around it. Death is simply the moment the body can no longer sustain the powerful, high-frequency energy of the soul's vibrational pattern, forcing that pattern to disconnect and continue resonating independently within the boundless cosmic energy. This definition transforms the soul from a vague philosophical concept into a functional, measurable field of awareness. It suggests that consciousness operates as an organized field, potentially interacting with the zero-point field, ZPF, the omnipresent background energy of the vacuum. This field, theoretically containing all potential energy and information, could act as the storage medium for individual souls. When we talk about feeling connected to a universal energy, we might be accurately describing our inherent entanglement with the ZPF, suggesting our soul is a highly specialized perturbation or eddy current within this infinite informational ocean. Do you believe the core essence of your personality, your memory and spirit, could truly be defined and quantified as information? Let us know your deepest thoughts on this quantum view of self in the comments below. We thrive on this interaction. The concept of persistence is key here. Quantum physics asserts the conservation of energy, which means the energy embodied by consciousness must go somewhere. If the soul is an organized energetic field, its survival is not a miracle, but a natural consequence of physical law. This understanding offers a profound sense of comfort and continuity, suggesting that the drive for spiritual enlightenment is merely the biological system attempting to raise its vibrational alignment to match the persistent, high-frequency energy of the non-local soul field, seeking greater coherence and abundance. The implication for personal energy and spirituality is immense. If we are defined by our informational, vibrational signature, then our spiritual work, developing positive intentions, cultivating high vibrational emotions like gratitude and love, is essentially optimizing our quantum coherence. We are improving the signal quality of our soul, making it a clearer, more organized and more resilient pattern within the chaotic background noise of the physical world. The quantum soul is not merely a passive record, it is an active organizing principle. It is the blueprint that guides the development and maintenance of the biological body, holding the memory of its true identity and potential. This explains why some NDE survivors report feeling more real or whole outside the body, because the physical limitations are gone, allowing the pure, non-localized informational field to express itself without biological filtering. By applying quantum principles, the soul becomes an undeniable, albeit non-material, component of reality. It shifts the discussion from belief to exploration. How can we measure this field? How does it interact with local matter? This scientific reframing provides dignity and empirical grounding to the most ancient human quest for meaning and eternal existence. Ultimately, the quantum soul is the enduring, organized pattern of awareness, a unique configuration of energy and information that transcends the local constraints of space-time. It is the scientific confirmation that you are fundamentally a non-material being, temporarily embodied to experience localized reality. While measuring the soul directly remains beyond current technological capability, several intriguing areas of study and circumstantial evidence strongly fuel the debate, providing empirical data points that are difficult to dismiss under a strictly classical materialist framework. These findings often sit at the intersection of psychology, medicine, and information theory, creating pressure on physicists to extend their models to accommodate non-local consciousness. One of the most persistent and compelling areas is the study of near-death experiences, NDEs. Thousands of verified accounts exist where individuals report highly lucid, organized conscious awareness occurring when the brain displays zero measurable activity, flat EEG, no reflexes, cold ischemia. During these experiences, subjects often report witnessing events occurring in locations distant from their physical bodies, verifiable out-of-body perception, and encountering complex, non-physical realities. If consciousness is strictly a product of the brain, these experiences are medically impossible. Quantum theorists suggest NDEs represent the soul's coherent information field, separating from the biological processor while remaining fundamentally intact, explaining the continuity of memory and identity despite clinical death. Another critical piece of evidence comes from the purely theoretical realm of quantum information theory. This branch of physics deals with information that is stored and transmitted using quantum states. The concept that information is conserved is central. If consciousness can be shown mathematically to be equivalent to quantum information, then its persistence after the body's demise becomes a theorem, not a hypothesis. Researchers explore analogies between black hole information paradoxes, where information is conserved even when matter falls in, and the survival of awareness, suggesting the informational architecture of the soul is simply stored in a different, non-local structure of the universe when biological processing ceases. The analogy of entanglement is also frequently cited as circumstantial evidence. While human connection is not literally entanglement, the phenomenon proves that fundamental reality includes instantaneous correlation across vast distances. If nature allows for a perfect, non-local connection between two photons, it provides a powerful theoretical precedent for a deep, non-physical bond between individuals, telepathy, empathetic connections, or between the individual soul and the universal informational field. Entanglement provides the mathematical mechanism that makes spiritual concepts like oneness scientifically plausible, suggesting our perception of separation is an illusion created by our localized focus on matter. Furthermore, experiments exploring the limits of non-locality continue to push the boundaries of what constitutes local reality. Some suggestive, though highly controversial studies attempt to measure energy fluctuations around the human body that seem to defy known laws of electromagnetism, possibly hinting at a more subtle, organized energy field, the soul, interacting with the environment. Although these studies face severe scrutiny regarding repeatability and methodology, their existence demonstrates the scientific hunger to verify a persistent energy beyond the physical form. These points of evidence suggest a systematic, if yet unquantified, relationship between awareness and the quantum substrate of the universe. The survival of complex, structured consciousness during clinical death, the the mathematical conservation of information, and the inherent non-locality of fundamental reality all converge to challenge the materialist status quo. The fact that the most mysterious events in human experience, NDEs, profound intuition, feelings of universal connection, align with the weirdest phenomena in physics, provides a powerful motivation to keep the soul discussion alive in the scientific community. The resistance to accepting NDEs as scientific evidence often stems from the fear of opening the floodgates to pure metaphysics. However, when these anecdotal accounts align perfectly with the theoretical predictions of quantum informational conservation and non-locality, they provide qualitative data that demands a model larger than classical neuroscience can offer. The truth is that the evidence, while circumstantial, consistently points toward the possibility of a non-local persistent self. Despite the compelling conceptual alignment between quantum physics and the persistence of consciousness, the topic remains highly controversial and largely sidelined within mainstream academia. The primary reason for this resistance is the pervasive academic stigma associated with mixing hard physics, which demands rigorous mathematical proof and experimental reproducibility, with concepts historically linked to religion, spirituality, or fringe pseudoscience. For a serious physicist, pursuing research into the soul can mean risking one's professional reputation, funding, and career advancement, as established science seeks to maintain a clear, quantifiable separation from the metaphysical. The core scientific problem is the lack of measurable definitions and falsifiability. While we can define the soul as an informational field or a vibrational signature, providing a standardized, measurable quantum signature that differentiates an active soul from background quantum noise has proven impossible with current technology. Science operates on the principle of falsifiability. A theory must be able to be proven wrong. Since the non-local informational field, the proposed soul, is extremely difficult to isolate and manipulate in a controlled setting, opponents dismiss the theories as philosophically interesting but scientifically inert, lacking the necessary empirical teeth to enter the scientific canon. Another major hurdle is the fear of mixing spirituality with physics. The scientific method was established specifically to divorce understanding from superstition and dogma. Many scientists perceive the discussion of the soul as a retreat from empirical rigor and a dangerous concession to vitalism. The idea that life possesses a non-physical animating force. Integrating a concept like the soul risks muddying the clear objective waters of physics with subjective experience and religious interpretation, which is seen as undermining the hard-won intellectual authority of the scientific community. This resistance is cultural as much as it is empirical. The established reductionist paradigm fights fiercely against concepts that suggest anything non-physical can influence the physical world. Mainstream neuroscience, heavily funded and entrenched, prefers to maintain that consciousness is an entirely emergent phenomenon of the brain, a complex chemical illusion, because this view is simpler and requires no uncomfortable reconciliation with non-local phenomena. To admit that the soul is real necessitates a total overhaul of biological and psychological models, demanding resources and challenging existing funding priorities, which is a powerful disincentive for change. The controversy is, therefore, a protective mechanism employed by the scientific community to maintain boundaries and ensure intellectual rigor. If you recognize the importance of challenging these outdated boundaries and exploring reality beyond the current physical models, please comment the keyword coherence below to signal your alignment with the integration of science and spirituality. The fundamental conflict rests on the interpretation of quantum mechanics itself. While some physicists embrace interpretations that place consciousness as fundamental, like the Copenhagen interpretation or OR, others subscribe to many worlds or other materialist models that attempt to explain away the observer effect without resorting to conscious influence. This internal disagreement within physics allows critics to dismiss the quantum soul connection as merely one of many competing, unproven interpretations of a notoriously difficult theory. Furthermore, The language used to discuss the soul often involves terms like energy, vibration, and abundance, words that have been heavily co-opted by generalized New Age movements. This association automatically triggers skepticism and dismissal from serious academics who strive to use precise mathematical terminology, creating an unfortunate linguistic barrier that obstructs serious dialogue between quantum theorists and the general public interested in these spiritual implications. The financial incentive structure also plays a role. Funding bodies prefer research that promises tangible, technological results, e.g. quantum computing, material science, rather than purely philosophical or metaphysical inquiries, regardless of how fundamental those inquiries are to understanding reality. This lack of institutional support naturally stifles the advancement of quantum consciousness research. In summary, the controversy is rooted in a cultural defense mechanism against perceived metaphysical intrusion, coupled with genuine scientific difficulties in isolating and measuring a non-local field. This resistance, while understandable from a historical perspective, ultimately limits the scientific community's ability to address the most profound questions about human existence, keeping the truth about the quantum soul just outside the acknowledged boundaries of verifiable reality. The integration of quantum physics is fundamentally transforming spiritual understanding by providing a sophisticated energetic framework for concepts that were previously only accessible through faith, metaphor, or mysticism. Quantum concepts, coherence, non-locality, and superposition offer a new scientific language to describe the interconnectedness, the power of intention, and the eternal nature of the self, shifting spirituality from mere belief into a practical, informed understanding of universal energy dynamics. One of the most profound transformations is the concept of interconnection. Non-locality and entanglement provide scientific validation for the spiritual doctrine of oneness. If, at the subatomic level, every particle is instantaneously connected to every other particle in the universe, then the felt experience of profound connection, empathy, or shared consciousness during deep meditation is not an illusion, but a localized awareness of a fundamental, non-local reality. This quantum insight removes the spiritual burden of separation, offering a scientific grounding for universal love and compassion rooted in shared physical reality. Quantum physics also radically redefines the power of intention and visualization. The observer effect suggests that consciousness acts as the selector of physical outcomes from a field of potentiality. Spiritually, this translates into the power of intention. Your focused awareness, your soul's input, literally collapses probabilities, shaping your manifest reality. This scientific mechanism explains why spiritual practices focused on gratitude, positive expectation, and focused intent can dramatically impact one's life. They are not magical requests, but fundamental interactions with the quantum field, directing the flow of universal energy toward desired outcomes and abundance. The quantum view inspires new understandings of the soul as a persistent field of information. Instead of worrying about saving a supernatural entity, the focus shifts to maintaining and organizing one's energetic and informational signature. Spiritual growth becomes about increasing one's coherence, aligning thoughts, feelings, and actions to minimize internal noise and maximize the resonance with the universal field. Practices like mindfulness, self-awareness, and ethical living are scientifically beneficial because they refine and stabilize the soul's unique quantum signature, ensuring greater harmony with the laws of the universe. This shift provides a powerful framework for deeper self-awareness. By recognizing that your body is a temporary antenna for a non-local, persistent soul field, you transcend the fear of physical limitation and death. The goal of life transforms from material acquisition to the cultivation of high vibrational energy and informational refinement. If you are finding these insights helpful in blending your scientific curiosity with your spiritual journey, please take a moment to like this video and share it with others seeking clarity. Furthermore, quantum physics demystifies concepts like destiny and universal guidance. If the soul is a persistent blueprint of informational patterns, then our intuition and signs from the universe can be understood as non-local informational feedback. The universe is not actively whispering secrets. Rather, our highly coherent quantum consciousness is receiving instantaneous, non-local data from the comprehensive informational matrix, helping guide our localized actions toward the greatest possibility of abundance and fulfillment. This integration provides a crucial intellectual dignity to spiritual practice. It moves discussions of consciousness and spirituality out of the realm of pure faith and into the domain of physics, providing a common language and empirical basis for otherwise abstract concepts. It allows individuals who are scientifically minded to embrace a spiritual worldview without abandoning their commitment to reason and evidence, reconciling the long-standing conflict between the head and the heart. The transformation is evident in how modern spirituality emphasizes energy management and frequency matching, concepts directly derived from quantum mechanics. To achieve spiritual enlightenment is to achieve maximum quantum coherence, allowing the individual soul's signature to resonate clearly and strongly with the cosmic energy, leading to feelings of profound peace, power, and connection. Ultimately, quantum insights are confirming what spiritual traditions have taught for millennia. We are fundamentally energetic beings connected to an infinite source. The difference is that now we have the mathematical framework, the laws of the subatomic universe, to understand precisely how this spiritual reality operates, deepening our appreciation for the immense intelligence embedded in the structure of the cosmos. We have traversed the strange terrain where the most rigorous science meets the deepest human mystery. Quantum physics, often viewed as the coldest and most objective of sciences, has become the unexpected herald of the soul's potential reality. By demonstrating that reality is fundamentally non-local, observer-dependent and structured by information, quantum mechanics has dismantled the materialist prison that sought to confine human consciousness to mere chemistry. The truth that no one wants to admit is that the leading edge of physics strongly suggests that our deepest identity, our soul, is an enduring informational pattern or a persistent, coherent energy field that is intrinsic to the universe itself. The controversial nature of this discussion is merely a reflection of a paradigm in transition. Science is reluctant to incorporate subjective, non-local data, yet the evidence from NDEs and the mathematical requirements of quantum information conservation consistently point toward the survival of consciousness. The current debate is less about whether the soul exists and more about how scientists can expand their methodology to measure and define a phenomenon that operates outside the constraints of classical space and time, confirming our inherent entanglement with the universal field of cosmic energy. The profound implication is that you are not a temporary biological accident, but an essential, eternal pattern of awareness, utilizing a localized body for experience. Embracing this quantum spiritual understanding allows us to transform our daily lives by focusing on refining our energetic signature and engaging with the world with conscious intention, knowing that we are actively shaping the reality around us. We are the conscious selectors, the quantum architects of our own experience of abundance and fulfillment. We invite you now to reflect deeply on these revelations. If your consciousness is an enduring quantum signature, what actions will you take today to refine that signature? How does the knowledge of non-local entanglement change the way you interact with others and view the universe? Share your profound reflections in the comments below. If this journey has expanded your perspective and provided a framework for understanding the soul scientifically, please subscribe and activate notifications. Join our quest to map the full reality of consciousness, bridging the ancient wisdom of spirituality with the undeniable truths of quantum physics.